Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Jeremy Miller, and I am the Senior Director of Coaching here at Ramsey Solutions in Franklin, Tennessee, joined by Justin Weaver, Senior Coach. Justin, thank you for being here, brother.
My pleasure.
We are really excited to be with you guys today. We had 2,500 people, well, 2,466 to be exact, register for today. And you guys are joining from all over the country. In fact, if you guys are just signing on, a few moments ago in the chat box, I asked you guys where you're joining from today. So if you have not told us that, go to that chat box. Let us know where you're hanging out today. Monday, what is today? The 12th of June, right in the middle of summertime. And we are grateful that you guys are here. And I know that we have a special guest, Ken, who's downstairs in our lobby right now. Ended up saying, I'm going to go check this out at Ramsey. So Ken, I hear you're in the lobby. Glad you're tuning in today, brother. So Justin, where are the rest of our friends hanging out?
All over the map. Wow. Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Dallas, New York. Wow. A couple of New Yorkers in the house. Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. A lot more from Florida. Got some California. So West Coasters. We see you guys. Colorado. Yep. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. That's my hometown. Love to see people from Georgia here. Really all over the United States. Do we have any international folks?
Justin, I'm really proud of you. You brought up Georgia without bringing up the dogs.
You know.
I think that's a first for you, man. You asked for international. It looks like I'm gonna butcher this. Ifioma is from Pretoria, South Africa. That's
nice.
Freaking awesome. The other side of the world. We are grateful. Whether you're in our building today, like Ken, or you're on the other side of the globe, we are grateful that you're here. And we are really passionate about what we do here on the coaching team. And you guys may or may not know this, but Ramsey Solutions, we've been around for several decades. And Dave Ramsey, who you guys see on the screen right there, who is our CEO, and he's been on the radio for several decades, best-selling author, who is the dominant personal finance figure in the United States and really in the world. Nobody has done what Dave has done at the level that he's done it at. You guys may not know this, but before Dave was on the radio, before he was writing books, before he was doing all the things that we do now, we have curriculum for schools and we're in corporate America. We're all over the place. But the very first thing that Dave did was to coach somebody at his church. He had filed bankruptcy in that September of 1988, started learning a different way to handle money. And the very first thing he did was to sit down with a couple at his church who was struggling and to coach them. And so coaching is at the heart of everything that we do here at Ramsey Solutions. It's the heartbeat of Ramsey Solutions. And so we know from decades of experience that the best way to help somebody take control of their life, to transform their life and their marriage when it comes to money, or really any area of life, is to work directly with a coach. I've seen a few of you guys say that you cannot hear. If you guys can hear me, can you let me know in the chat box? That's how you know we're live. Sometimes stuff happens. Okay, so Justin, I was gonna tell them what to do if they can't hear me, but they wouldn't hear my answer. So can you type into the chat if you're, but thank you guys for the feedback. I will let you guys know I'm a very needy presenter. And so I appreciate you guys jumping in there and giving me that feedback. You'll also, I'm hosting the call today with Justin, and you'll see that second person named Jeremy Miller. That's not me twice. So he's going to change his name here in a moment. That is Josh Collier, and Josh leads our sales team around here. And so he's going to be jumping in the chat for you guys. There's several ways to engage with us on this call. The first is in the chat box. We're going to have this back and forth going the entire time. The second thing is, if you have a question as we're going through today, go to the Q&A section of this call and make sure you submit your question there. And there'll be several of us in here who are able to answer those questions. We're going to get to as many questions as we can. Have no fear, though. If we are not able to get to your question, we will make a way for you to be able to do that on the back end to talk to somebody on our team. Okay. And then in the second half of the call, we're actually going to have a couple of you guys unmute yourself, and we're going to dialogue with you through your questions live in front of everybody. So we have several hundred folks live, and we're just thrilled that you're here. I know it's summertime, it's the beginning of the work week, and there's a million things you could be doing today, but you're here, and we honor that. And we want to give you guys a great time today to learn about what it means to be a financial coach and what the work looks like, and what are the problems that coaches solve, and what are some of the struggles that coaches have, and how do we here at Ramsey Solutions train you to be able to work through those. Things like, how do I find clients, and how do I charge for coaching, and those are big things that we're going to spend some significant time on today. But I want to start with a question. I told you I'm needy, so I want to know why you're here. What has got you looking at financial coaching? In other words, why does this problem matter to you? Because there's a million problems you could help people solve in this world today. There's a million problems out there, but you're here to learn about solving this problem. So in other words, why do you care about helping people to solve this problem of personal finance and why people struggle? Justin, so go to that chat box. What is motivating you to be here and care about this problem? Justin, what are we seeing?
Yeah, we've got some folks here that want to learn for themselves. Many folks, it looks like, and by the way, you guys, your comments are set to just host and panelists, so we're seeing them here. So you guys probably don't see all these comments, but that's because there's so many going past so quickly that it would be distracting. Anyway, yeah, a lot of folks wanting to learn money for themselves. A lot of folks, they're sharing comments like, I want to change lives, I want to help grow others, I want to learn about how I can become a coach so I can help other people. Always excited to help others. Yeah, so some similar themes here.
Yeah.
A new career path. I like that one. That one's fun.
Yeah. I see. Okay, so the theme that I'm seeing, Justin, and again, you guys tell me in the chat if this resonates with you. You care about this problem because the problem has showed up in your own life. Not being good with money and not being intentional, and the kind of mess that you can get into if you don't make good choices with money. And so I know that that's the case for me, and I know that it's the case for Justin as well. So we're going to talk about some problems today in the culture, but Justin and I aren't coming from a place of looking down on people who struggle, because we get it. We get it. We've been there. We've done stupid on steroids. I'll speak for me. I've done stupid on steroids, and so
No, me too. Me too.
well, I'm not going to throw you under the bus, but I knew that. But I'll let you own that for yourself. So, all right. So I appreciate you guys sharing that stuff. That is really good stuff. And that's as you're deciding if coaching is going to be a good fit for you, that's a big one. Like, you got to have a passion for this stuff. For those of you that are looking for a new career, I love that you want to do that. And I want to make sure that having a passion for solving this problem matters. If you're going to be a good coach, if you're going to enjoy the process, you gotta have a passion to help people solve this problem. So let's talk about that problem just a little bit before we talk about coaches as a little solution. So the reality is that this is today. Like, this is going on right now around you. If you're in public, in fact, if you can see other people, I want you to look around you, because almost 2/3 of Americans say that they're living paycheck to paycheck. Think about that. Stats, they can be sterile sometimes, but these are people, hundreds of millions of people that live this way. Now, if you ever lived paycheck to paycheck, go to the chat box. I told you there's going to be a dialogue today between us. Go to the chat box. If you've ever lived paycheck to paycheck, describe what that's like using one word. Using one word, what is it like to live paycheck to paycheck? Justin, what are we seeing? Oh, you guys are blowing up that chat box.
Anxiety, hard, suffocating. Ooh, I've been there. Helpless, anxious, miserable, painful, stressed. Yeah.
I think Callie summed it up well. Several of you guys did. Elvis did too. Hopeless. Now, a follow-up to this, where do you see people living this way? Like, you know what it's like to live this way. Where do you see, like, think about your day to day, think about the circles that you run in. Where do you see this statistic showing up as reality in your life? I see work. Elvis says everywhere around us. Claudia says the middle class. Be more specific than everywhere. I see work, church, family, friends, in your community, school. Natasha says, I'm a single mom. I think single parents really struggle with this as it's a one income home. Absolutely. Brandy says, friends living life on social media. All right. When you're shopping, most of your family and friends, grocery store, friends, clubs, new parents, in our face, says Joe. Okay. So this is ubiquitous. Is that the right word there, Justin?
Ubiquitous. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. All right. I know good words. It's all around you. So that's a problem. And you're here because you don't like that problem. Coaches inherently know that it doesn't have to be this way. In the most prosperous country in the history of mankind, people are living this way, and it's just dumb. It doesn't have to be this way. And so coaches are here to do something about that. In addition to this, Justin, break this one down for us.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This one hits close to home because I used to be here, right, years ago. But 36% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency without stepping into debt, right? Like a credit card to cover something. And what is that saying, right? Go back just a second ago, we were talking about paycheck to paycheck. That means that if somebody had something go wrong today, a tire blows, kid gets sick and has to go to, the medical facilities, right? Something happens that breaks in the house, right? An appliance goes. People are leveraging debt to cover their emergencies. Not even $400. That is just scary.
Yeah. Josh said in the chat that 36% is pre-COVID. I'd be scared to see what it is today, frankly.
Yeah.
And so this is usually something with the kids, some kind of unexpected medical issue, or with a pet. Frankly, it's the same thing. Unexpected planned trip to the vet, or like you said, Justin, stuff with the car, the house, and in reality, they're not. Most of the time, they're things that, if you stop and think about it, they are normal. Like blowing out a tire, like that happens to basically everybody at some point. We know that, okay, we got to replace these tires. This dishwasher's got to be replaced. Like these things are normal, but when people don't live with margin, the anxiety, fear, the stress, all the things that you outlined earlier when it comes to living paycheck to paycheck, they ratchet up because they don't have margin. And now people are making decisions out of that fear and anxiety, and it compounds and makes the situation worse. And Stacy puts a great point in there. Groceries are crazy expensive right now. A couple of weeks ago, I love Trader Joe's. However, I wanted to make some tacos. And so I bought 2 pounds of ground beef, and I get to the register. It was $10 for a pound of ground beef.
For 1 pound?
For 1 pound.
Ooh.
And I really wanted tacos. And so I was like, okay, it wasn't some of that Wagyu stuff or whatever. It was just ground beef. It wasn't organic, And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, if somebody, so this inflation going on right now, this is part of the national conversation that we're having. And so people are talking about it everywhere. They're talking about it on social media. They're talking about it around the water cooler at work. They're talking about it at church. They're talking about it at the block parties. And so this is reality for most people. The stress, the fear, and anxiety. And it doesn't have to be that way. So let's talk about coaches. Okay, let's talk about coaches, because coaches are the best solution to this problem. And so we got to talk about what the real problem is. In other words, I'm going to phrase this differently. What problems do coaches really solve? What problems do coaches really solve? When you're coaching somebody, and we spend a ton of time unpacking this in our training, but when you're coaching somebody, there are 3 categories of problems that you're going to tackle. Okay, there's 3 categories of problems. In other words, the root money problems are process related. That's the first one. Or they're perspective related, meaning mindset, belief system. That's the second problem. The third is people related. It's relational. And so we're going to break these things down. And Justin, so you guys are aware, is a coach on our team. And Justin coaches people and trains other coaches. So he does both. And so we're going to filter this conversation through his tons of experience coaching people. But Justin, let's break down the process. Well, when we say process, what does that mean?
Well, the process is probably the easiest for us to identify, right? You guys on the webinar, you all know this, right? What is a common process that people have that could be broken as it relates to money? I'll just ask the question. What do you think in the chat box, guys? Yep, there we go. Elvis got it right away. Budget,
You
right?
guys nailed it.
Simple, easy, right? When someone's process is broken around money, it can cause all kinds of money problems and money fights, especially if this is like a married couple that they're working with. And so one of the areas we have to look at is there a broken process here that my client needs help with?
Let's do this poll. We have a poll here. Because let me ask this first. Well, I'm going to do the poll here. Let me get ahead of myself. Only answer this poll if you've ever taught somebody how to budget. Okay. But the question here is, when you teach someone how to budget, what percentage of the time does it stick? Only answer this if you've ever tried to teach somebody how to budget. What percentage of the time does it stick? In other words, you sit down with them, you break it down, you go through it with them, and then a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months later, that doesn't mean they're perfectly following their budget, but they're still implementing that process. Some of you guys are in the chat box. Answer the poll, and if you're watching this recording, you can't see the poll. We'll break this down for you guys in just a moment, but we'll give another 3, 4, 5 seconds. Because we're going to find something. Alyssa says they lasted 4 days.
Yeah.
I think you have somebody very specific in mind, Alyssa. It could be just a guess. We all have that person. We all have that person, right? We're like, oh man. Classic. This actually takes me back to when I was 16 and I just got my first job at the movie theater. And my mom, who was a bookkeeper, and my dad, who was a CPA at the time, they're sitting down with me at the kitchen table to teach me how to balance my checkbook. And I'm rolling my 16-year-old. I was like, oh my goodness, you guys are so out of touch. This is so stupid. I don't need to know. This is like, I don't need to know this, you know? So I'm the guiltiest of offenders here. All right. So let's check this out, you guys. You should be able to see the results on the screen here. This is from you guys. So when you teach someone how to budget, what percentage of the time does it stick? And it looks like 97% of you are saying it sticks less than 50% of the time.
Wow.
83% of you say it sticks less than 25% of the time. So this brings up an interesting point, because you would think if the real problem is just that they're not doing a budget and we teach them how to do a budget, that should solve the problem. But it's not proving to be true in your guys' experience. So if you teach them a solution, which is the budget, and it doesn't stick, what that tells you is there's something beneath their knowledge or lack of knowledge that's the actual problem. Imagine going to the doctor and you say, Doc, I've got headaches. I've got these chronic headaches. I don't know what to do. And the doctor says, well, here's a pill. Have a nice day. Well, that may fix the surface problem. That may fix the pain, but it doesn't fix the cause of the pain itself. And as coaches, we go way beneath the surface. It's not as simple as just teach them how to budget. We're going to get beneath the surface to figure out what is really going on to cause them to struggle. And so that brings us to perspective, mindset, belief, whatever you want to call it. So Justin, when you're coaching people, what's the biggest 1 or 2 perspective issues that you've seen that holds people back in their personal finances?
Number 1, I don't make enough money. If I just made a little more, I'd be okay. Right? That's number 1. And then the other one I tend to see a lot is I just can't seem to get ahead. Doesn't seem to matter what I try, I just can't seem to get ahead. And they're kind of related, but those tend to be some of the big perspective limiting problems that people have that we as coaches can step in and help them break through those mindsets and start to get into some new territory. Well, what can we do? What could you do? What can we take control of? How can we push past this limiting belief?
Yeah. I'd love to know from you guys, what are some things that you've heard other people say that tells you there's a broken mindset going on? Like something's not right up here or maybe in here. What are things that you've heard? Maybe you've said them yourself that you realized, oh man, that was a limiting belief. So go to the chat box. Let us know you've heard. Not making enough money. She spends too much. I assume that's maybe a spouse.
Careful with that one.
James says need credit. In other words, like a belief that you have to have a credit score or credit cards. John says reality versus expectations. I don't make enough. We've seen that quite a bit. Needs versus wants is a big one, right? I need Starbucks every day. Well, that's not true. Kirsten says, I'm going to spend it anyway, so why not get it now? It's kind of like the, YOLO type of mindset. You only live once. Not everyone's going to be rich. There's not enough time in the. That's I've always found that interesting. I don't have time to budget. Don't interrupt what I'm watching on Netflix. I don't have time to budget. So Zach says thinking the wealthy steals the money from poor. Yeah.
Fear of missing out.
All right. So you guys are seeing this. We're all speaking the same language here. The mindset, the perspective that we spend a lot of time there as coaches. So we have process, perspective, and then people. And the people problem is most easily summed up, I think, Justin, with you have a husband and wife who are not on the same page. They may have the same goals, they may have different goals, but they have wildly different ideas about how to get there. You oftentimes have one person who is more of a free spirit and wants to go spend, and the other one is trying to save, and they have these competing values that just keep them stuck. And the people end up fighting each other instead of fighting the problem out there, whatever that is. That's why when you're coaching somebody, when you're coaching spouses and they're doing a budget, you have them sit on the same side of the table with each other. They should not be opposite each other because now they're fighting each other. They're adversaries. No, they sit on the same page. Well, they sit on the same side of the table because they're on the same page. They're on the same team. Sometimes just hey, John, go sit next to your wife, Susie. Why don't you go on the other side of the table? Just that right there will often change things for people and how they look at it. All right. So these are the problems that coaches solve. And our coach training called Financial Coach Master Training specializes in teaching you as a coach how to coach people through these situations, through these problems. And if you choose to do so, how to earn an income while doing that. I say that because about 10% of people that take our training choose to do it for ministry or like a nonprofit purpose. Maybe they're coaching through their church and they don't have any desire to earn an income. But most of our coaches do. And so whether you're doing this for a ministry or for a for-profit endeavor, you got to have that skill set. That skill set is foundational. And so let's talk about what it looks like to be trained by us. Justin, walk us through this framework of each phase of the training and walk us through that.
I want to call you back to what Jeremy said at the very beginning of the webinar, guys. And that is, we have been doing coaching for a long time. And we have trained thousands of coaches over the last 25 years. And so we've grown and developed our program over time to help better equip coaches to go out there and help the folks that you guys are going to run into. But we've landed on these three key areas that we want to help you guys with as you're coming through the coach training. The first is just learning. There's knowledge that you need to know, and we want to make sure you get the right types of knowledge so that you can answer questions appropriately, but even more than that, so you can know the right questions to ask and help guide your clients through that process. But there's a lot of learning that goes into this, right? The second piece of that equation is applying what you've learned. So this is not just a course where you read a bunch of articles or watch a lot of videos. Not that there's anything wrong with those, but we want to take you guys further and deeper with that. So there's the learn application, but then we actually have the apply application. And that's where you'll take what you learn in the lessons and in the videos, and we'll give you application steps to do inside the training. And then we also provide you with several group coaching calls with our senior coaches here on the team to be able to start to apply this stuff in real life so that as you're going through the training, you're also getting to practice the skills that you're learning about. And then finally, that last piece is continuing to grow. So we don't want to just give you a static training that's good knowledge and good information that sits on a shelf and you never get out there and actually help someone. And so we're going to pour into you guys and continue to help you grow and mature as a coach. Because the things that you learn and start to do today, spoiler alert for you, those things are going to change over time. Your customers' challenges are going to change over time. So we as coaches have to continue to grow, and we want to walk with you in that journey as your trainers.
Absolutely. So I'm going to walk through all the things that come with financial coach master training. What I want you guys to know from the outset, financial coach master training is something that when you get access to this training, we actually give you access for an entire year. And we do that because part of most of the people that take our training is they have their lives going on. They have jobs, they have families, they have hobbies. And so most of the people that take our training don't have a few months to just do this full time. Every once in a while we get somebody that goes through like that. Maybe they're retired and they're looking for a new thing. But for the most part is our coaches are going through this as they're living their life. And so we built it in a way where you have access for an entire year so that it doesn't require you to take over your life for you to be successful. In fact, most of our coaches, once they finish our training, they're spending between 3 and 10 hours a week coaching on average. Now, there are some that do more and some that aspire to do more. That's just out of the gate. That 3 to 10 is pretty normal. And so what we're going to go over a lot, but I want you guys to really understand that this is built in such a way that you can graft it into your life without having to sacrifice time with your kids, without having to say, well, we can't go on that summer vacation because I got to do this course. So that's how it's built. And that's why we give you an entire year to go through it. So the first part is the online portion of the training. And this is a digital course where it's facilitated by videos, quizzes, tests, application, different things like that to teach you what you need to learn. And this part is self-paced. So you could put 3 questions in, or 3 hours a week in, you could put 10 hours a week in. You could, now listen, there's probably like 4 of you on here that are going to go, well, I'd like to binge this stuff because I'm binging The Office or I'm binging Breaking Bad or something, or whatever you're binging right now. That shows you how up to date my pop culture references are. But it's built so that you can do this in bite-sized chunks. The average lesson video is 11 minutes long. Okay. So you can do that. You can binge it, or you could do bite-sized chunks. So you could literally on your lunch break at work, pull out your phone, go to your car and do a 10, 15-minute lesson and then go back to work. So, or you could dedicate 4 hours on a Saturday morning, up to you, but it's very flexible in that way. This part of the training takes people on average between 6 and 8 weeks. Okay. 6 and 8 weeks. That's several hours a week, 6 to 8 weeks. That's about what we're seeing in terms of averages right now. When you finish this part, you earn the certificate and designation of Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. This is something that is not, once you have the designation, this designation is yours, meaning you don't have to recertify every year or every 2 years to maintain the designation. Once you have that, that is yours. Now, I'm going to get to the highest rated part of our training from people who finish our training.
Just one note before you go here, Jeremy. Y'all, I used to be a financial advisor before I became a coach, and that is huge. Renewals not required, no ongoing training and development fees, no reporting requirements back to Ramsey on this stuff. That would be a blessing to me back when I was a financial coach. So that's a huge benefit for you
from
guys.
that. So
Just a little, yeah.
So, all right. I've had several of you guys ask about how much it costs and that sort of thing. We will get there towards the end of the call. And there you go. So, all right. The next part of the training is the highest rated part of the training. And I will say this is not my opinion. This is fact. It's the most important part. And it's the most important part because we know that it's not enough to do something self-paced on your own if you're going to learn how to do this in a really substantial way. In other words, if you're going to be great at something, you're going to want to learn from and be able to interact with other people who are already doing the thing that you're doing. And so that's why we have the entire year that you have access to our program. You also have access to our coaches. And so Justin is one of the coaches that leads these calls. So Justin, talk about the value of these and why we include them throughout the training.
Well, these are my personal favorite part of the course, but that's because I get to lead some of the calls. But
That's
these
because why you have a
five,
job, you know?
and I do like having a job. Uh, that aside, though,
There you go.
you get 5 development calls as part of the training. And go back to that learn, apply, grow thing that we were talking about just a second ago. This is part of the application, but it's also part of learning and growing too. So you'll be put into a live group setting via Zoom or via online training, just like you guys joined the webinar today, but you'll be in small groups going through each one of these 5 development calls. And each one of the calls, we focus on a different topic that's relevant to you in your coaching practice, how to ask questions, running consultations and coaching sessions. We get really practical on these, as well as walking through what's some of the philosophy behind why we coach the way that we do. And so you'll be put into small groups to be able to walk through this stuff together with one of the senior coaches guiding you through each one of these topics. You'll also
Justin, you
have the
said
option.
real
Yeah, go
quick,
ahead.
you said that the small group, what's the average size of these groups on the calls that you do?
Yeah, we cap registration at 30 per session. Most attendance rates is somewhere around 15 to 18 coaches live
All
per
right,
session.
perfect. Good stuff.
Cindy asked the question, when are these calls? They are Monday through Friday at all times throughout the day, throughout the workday, I should say.
Yep. So for folks that do have like a day job going on, a lot of times they'll use their lunch break as a time to go join one of those calls because they are capped at an hour to be able to accommodate that. So in addition to those 5 calls that you get as you're going throughout the training, as soon as you start your training, we have biweekly live coaching calls that are available for everybody in the program. And these are led by Justin and the other coaches in our program. And so these typically have 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 people that show up live to learn from our coaches. And the coaches that you guys get to learn from, they have over 70 years of coaching experience. I want that to sink in for you. 70 years. You know, we don't have a large team. We have a pretty small team. And 70 years of coaching experience between these guys. And I'll tell you, when Dave Ramsey has a friend or a family member that needs coaching, when somebody any connection to the Ramsey family when they need coaching, there's a widow that needs coaching that Dave wants to connect with a coach. These are the coaches that Dave trusts with that. And so these are like they're Dave Ramsey's coaches. You understand that? So these are the best people on the planet to walk you guys through this stuff, to guide you as you work to become a world-class financial coach. So we have the online course that's self-paced. You have the live access to our coaches for the entire year. This third resource is really practical because as you're coaching people, as you're having certain conversations, you might not have all the answers when it comes to insurance or retirement or investment. And I know as a coach, typically I hear this, that there's a fear of like, what if I don't have all the answers? Well, I can promise you, especially when you're new, you definitely won't have all the answers. And you have resources that mean you don't have to have all the answers. And so when you're having a conversation about insurance or retirement or investing, you don't have to have all the answers, but we have tools, both those calculators and coaching forms that are there to make sure you have what you need to be able to coach effectively, even if you're not a subject matter expert. And so you can't expect yourself to know that right out of the gate, but you have resources, so you always know where to find the answers for your clients. Okay. Now, how many of you guys are like me in that you are visual learners? Just hit me with a yes or raise your hand there if you're a visual learner like me. Like, I got to see it, right? I need to see you do it. You could explain it to me a million times until I see it and go, "Ooh, okay, that's what that looks like." All right. A lot of folks like me out there. This library right here of coaching calls is huge. And so these are real recorded coaching sessions with real people These are not role plays. These are not paid actors. These are real clients of our coaches who we asked them, we said, hey, we train coaches. Would you be willing to let us record your coaching sessions so we could teach other people how to coach? And so these are real people that have agreed to say, hey, yeah, you can use my story. And so you get to learn from the experts in their element, which is huge. And so everything that we just covered there, you have access to for an entire year. Okay. Jake, good question. You have access to everything for the entire year. Okay. All right. So there's several things I want to touch on, and then we're going to get more to like the Q&A section of our call. So there's 4 things: the cost of financial coach master training. The second is, what does a typical coaching relationship look like? We're going to cover that. And then we're going to get into 2 questions: how do I find clients, and how do I charge for this? How do people afford coaching if they're struggling? So let's talk about the average coaching relationship first. So Justin, if you could hit the chat box with some of these things, that would be great, just for the visual folks here. We don't have a slide for this part. So here's what it typically looks like to work with a coach. So first off, behavior change doesn't happen overnight. I think we all can understand why that's the case, because sometimes we're breaking decades-long patterns of thinking and habits that people have. So the average person working with one of our coaches is going to work with them over the course of 6 months. So this is for people that work with our coaches. They're going to work with our coach for, on average, 6 months. That might look like 1 session a month. It might look like 2 sessions a month. It might look like 1 phone call, plus we could do a check-in, or you can text me when you have a question. We don't decide what those should look like for you, but we help you set up parameters around what your availability looks like. And that's going to look a little bit different for everybody, but you get to customize your coaching relationship based on your situation. So we don't just hand it to you. We help you decide what makes sense for you. Most coaches are doing more of like a subscription type relationship, meaning it might sound like this: hey, if I'm your coach, you're going to have me in your back pocket. And so for as long as we're working together, anytime you need something, you can call me, email me, and then we do our formal coaching sessions, but that's all included. It ends up being much more relational, instead of, hey, every time, you work with an attorney and it's like, oh, I talked to him for 12 minutes and they had to bill me $150 for 15 minutes. Like, our coaches don't, it's very transactional. And so we don't like that. Our coaches do this in a much more relational fashion. Same thing with you guys. We bill for the entire year, but our team's here. Reach out to us. We are here to support you. It's not like every time you talk to us, we got to bill you for it. So the average coach coming out of our training is charging $200 per month as an average. Okay, so that means some do more, some do less. Again, that's the average. Okay, so that's what that looks like. The average person is going to spend $1,200 over the course of half a year to have a coach walk with them, to help them take control of their situation. So one more question for you guys: what do people normally spend $1,200 on? People that are struggling, what do you see them spend $1,200 on? Is maybe the better way to ask the question. Justin, what are we seeing?
Cable, Starbucks, fast food. Yeah, eating out.
Jeremy said things
needs.
they don't need. Yep, pizza and beer, says Alyssa.
Tobacco,
Yep.
electronics.
Did I see meatballs in there?
Ooh.
I saw medical bills. I didn't see meatballs. I saw medical bills.
That's some good meatballs.
Maybe. Adelaide said tobacco, alcohol, lottery. Oh, that kills me when I'm at the gas station. I see people paying for the lottery. I'm like,
NSF fees. Did you see that?
Oh.
Insufficient funds. That cycle will kill you. Oh, it's so terrible.
Yeah. So Stacy says you must be hungry to spend $1,200 on meatballs. So, all right. So you guys get it. And have you ever been out to a restaurant with a friend and they're complaining the whole time about how they're broke when you're at a nice restaurant? You're like, wait, and they're spending 50 or $100 on a meal and they're broke. And again, we're not throwing rocks, because worst offender number 1, but something doesn't add up there. Okay. So that's what the average coaching relationship looks like. Okay. So let's talk about the cost of FCMT, and then we'll dig into these other questions that we have. We'll get a little bit more. We'll bring some of you guys on to talk. So uh, the regular price of Financial Coach Master Training, which is a year of access to the online training, which, by the way, you can go back and do that several times if you like. You're not limited to going through the training once. Same thing with our coaching calls. You can access those ongoing for that year. So access to the online course, access to the live coaching for the entire year, having Ramsey in your back pocket for the entire year, and to all the tools and resources, the library and all that stuff. Okay. The regular price of Financial Coach Master Training is $2,300. It's actually $2,295. Okay. That is our regular price. Now, something that I do want to say, do not go on our website and buy it yet, because here's what's going on. This summer, people that you know and people that I know they're gonna get into this spending mode that our culture promotes, where it's summertime. Even if I'm broke, I deserve to go out and enjoy the summer, meaning I'm gonna go on vacation. I'm gonna spend extra money that I don't have, because it's the time of the year where I should be able to do that. I deserve it. I've earned it. And over the summertime, what we see is a lot of people make their situation worse. And then when kids get back into school and they get back into like the normal flow of things, they look at their situation and go, oh my goodness, like what the heck did I just do? And they made their situation worse over the summertime while they're having fun. And so going into the summertime, we wanted to give you guys, we're going to give you a promo code at the end of this call to give you guys a deal on Financial Coach Master Training. So you won't pay the $2,300. We'll do that in just a little bit, so that over the summertime, when people are just out there making terrible decisions and making their financial situation worse, you can be training, so that when these people start to surface and go, all right, I made a mess, I need some help, you're there to, and you're ready with your training to be able to help them. And so that's the idea there. So we'll do that in just a little bit. All right, there's really two prominent questions we want to spend time on. These are the biggest questions that we get. So I'm going to lower everybody's hand for a moment. The first question we want to tackle is, how do I find clients? I hear that all the time. Jeremy, how would I find people to coach? If you have that same question, go ahead and raise your hand for me. If you have that same question, go ahead and raise your hand for me. If Yoma says, I'm sorry, how much did you say it was? The regular price of the training is $2,300 USD. And we'll talk about the promo that we're doing a little bit later on this call. Okay, bunch of you guys have your hand raised. So where do I find clients? Paul, I see you're already connecting the dots. I love your answer. We're not going to say it yet because we want to spend a little time on it. All right, we're going to go to Allison. Allison, Rollins, if you're able to talk, Allison, hit that unmute button for us. And we're going to talk through this question just a little bit. And if you can't talk, that's okay. Just let us know in the chat, and we'll go with the next person. So yeah, if you have your hand raised and you are willing or able to talk, keep your hand raised. If you're not, lower that. And not sure if we're going to get to Allison here, but we'll get to somebody. So we'll give Allison just a moment. If not, we're going to go to Hallie. Is it Haley? No, that's Hallie. All right. Allison says, sorry, napping baby. No worries. All right. Probably don't want to wake the little munchkin up. All right, let's go to Hallie. I'm going to bet it's Hallie, not Haley. Hallie, are you there? We can't go over 2. Can't go over 2.
We're counting on you, Hallie.
All right, hit that unmute button for us. Again, only keep your hand raised if you're able and willing to talk to us next. So we won't be too offended if you don't want to do that. That's fine. All right. Well, all right. We're going to go to Mark. Mark's had his hand raised. I'm not going to try and pronounce the last name. But Mark, hit that. There you go. Mark, are you there? Oh, Mark. Mark, we can't hear you.
Hey, Justin, that was a pretty good pronunciation of my name. Thanks for taking a swing at it, brother.
That's what I do.
Was it correct or was it pretty good guess?
It was really close. We're just going to recognize Justin for trying, and we'll talk about my pronunciation when that matters.
All right. Mark, thanks for being here, brother. We appreciate you. Where are you joining from today?
I am out in the Inland Empire of Southern California.
Where?
I'm out in San Bernardino, California.
I grew up in Rancho Cucamonga, right next door. So
Hey, you're just down the road from us. I'll wave to your folks.
I was just over there recently visiting some family. So now I'm thinking about In-N-Out, if I'm being honest. I'm not thinking about my family. I'm thinking about In-N-Out right now. So
We got a double with your name on it, my friend.
oh my goodness, make it a 3x3 and I'll be there in a couple hours. So all right.
What are you even
Animal
saying? What are these
A whole
words?
new language for everybody else.
You just have no idea, Justin. All right, so let's do this. We are going to talk through this question of how to find clients. And Mark, I'm going to have Justin coach you through that question. Is that okay?
That would be fantastic.
Okay, before we do that, the chat's blowing up about In-N-Out and Animal Style and all these things. So I love it. Sorry, guys. This is exactly how my brain works. Just squirrel moments left and right. So for everybody watching here, what you're going to watch is Justin as the coach. He's going to coach Mark through this question of how do I find clients. And when you're coaching somebody, people always ask, like, what do I teach? What's the curriculum? And that's not really how coaching works. Your client is the curriculum. They have questions.
Yes.
They have confusion. They're like, hey, I'm stuck. I'm trying to do that. Like, they come with their problems and we coach them through the problem. So Mark has posed a question. How do I find clients? Justin's going to coach him on it. So pay attention to Justin's approach. Watch how he engages with this question, and then we'll debrief at the end. So Justin, take it away.
All right. Awesome. So Mark, you want to become a coach, right?
I would love to become a coach. I think this would be fantastic.
Okay. All right. Now I got to start with a question here. Well, I guess it'd be the second question. But here's my question for you. Who do you most want to help?
Yeah, I really want to help my community in general. So I'd love to be able to utilize this and implement it at church and be looked upon as a, if you would, a resource to help people who want to resolve this problem. And I'm hoping that through doing that, there'll be some word of mouth saying, hey, Mark really helped us do this. Look what we accomplished. And to have it go further than that and where it goes, I'm just walking the path here. The Lord's putting out the map for it ahead of me. So I'm here to use the skills and the abilities that he gives me, see what I can do with them.
That's awesome. Well, I love that vision, but I want to go just a step deeper on that market. So you said folks at my church. What's drawing you to really want to help the folks at your church?
I have a great relationship with folks at church. So I think there would be a certain amount of rapport. I think these are products, and this is, if you would, advice that they'd be open to and willing to. I think when I compare other channels that I could be looking at for people that I could help, I'd love to do it at work, but I don't know if my employer would necessarily appreciate me offering consulting services at work and say, so Quinley, what's your side hustle there? What you doing to me? Don't you have enough on your plate?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's say you dive into this, you get the coach training, you get out there, you start working with the folks at your church to start with. And let's fast forward a few months, fast forward a year or two. You've got some referrals, some word of mouth going on. What kind of impact are you looking to have at your church? What does that look like?
So the impact I'd love to see is having the folks that I've helped actually living with financial peace, actually having a plan, sticking to it and working through it, being able to address if you would, the issues and the concerns that they have financially, and having now the muscles and the ability and the habits to be able to not be overwhelmed by them and saying, well, this is something I've got to go get a new credit card for.
Yeah. That's a huge goal. How long do you think that's going to take you?
Oh, well, you guys laid it out and you guys said it best, that these are behaviors that happen over time, and behaviors don't, it's not flipping a switch. So you've got to not only develop these muscles, which you've never used before, but then you've got to learn repetition in them so that when those crazy times come, that you're ready to utilize them. And you know what, those crazy times, the first times are going to feel really awkward. So like I said, you've got to go through it. So we're talking, you guys threw out, I think it was 6 months. I think it's 6 to 12 months easy because, like I said, you got to go through those storms.
Awesome. Well, sounds like you've got a lot of folks to work with, and you've already got a plan in place for how you're going to go about doing it. And I love your vision for impact. So,
So
do
what
you
was
have
the
enough?
question?
How
So
are you going to
my
find clients?
question is, when I've got my personal network going and I've got, things that are happening, and like I said, it's bringing me some things and I'm saying, wow, this is great. I'm helping out folks. What if I want to what if I discovered that this is my calling and I say, wow, this brings me the most satisfaction. This is really filling my bucket when I help these folks. And I want to try to do this more. What do you guys have a plan? Is it part of the curriculum to, if you would be marketing myself beyond my personal networks in church and other places? Is there a plan for, like I said, me to be able to utilize the immense resources of our friend Dave Ramsey? Help me understand the marketing
Yeah.
beyond my personal network.
Yeah. It depends on how you're using the word marketing, Mark, because what we will not teach you to do, because we don't believe in this approach, is to go out and spend a bunch of money on advertising and putting posters around town or flyers and
Good.
like social, like we're not spending money on social media ads. And I've seen coaches try and do that and it just doesn't, it's so transactional. It doesn't really work. When was the last time you saw a flyer for a marriage counselor? We're like, that's where I'm going to get my marriage counselors, from a flyer at a Best Buy parking lot. You know what I mean? We don't do that. And so
Good.
our approach is much more relational and it's much more tortoise versus the hare. And so Josh said it in the chat, we build it at the speed of relationships. And so the approach that we take, Mark, is how do we help you become the go-to money person in your community? And that only happens with credibility over time through relationships. So you have a great place to start. You talked about church. You also said just in your community, and then maybe work if the boss is cool with it. It's hit or miss there, depending on where you work. But even if not, like there's a difference between using your workplace to promote your services versus having a conversation with somebody at work and mentioning that you have. So there's two different things there. But it is through word of mouth. It is by connecting with marriage counselors, because you're going to have clients who need marriage counseling. And as far as I can tell, you're not a marriage counselor. Is that right?
That's not going to be something I'm going to be seeking out today or tomorrow.
Right. Correct. Do you sell life insurance?
I do not.
Do you sell real estate?
I do not.
So when your clients need those things, you're going to need to have these partners in those industries to say, hey, you know, guess who they go to when they want to find a real estate agent that they trust? They're going to ask their coach. And so you say, I know this, my real estate agent, Bob, you know, I'm going to have him reach out to you. So you have all these people that do these other services because you've built the relationships the way we've taught you to do that.
Yeah.
Now, when you're sending Bob, the real estate agent, referral after referral, guess what Bob does?
That sounds like a terrific plan. I'm familiar with, and I've used Dave's ELP program a lot. Are certified coaches listed on that on as resources on the site as well?
Yep. So we do, you know, after you graduate this training, you do have the option to become a part of that pool, that's part of that program. And so getting leads from us is also an option if you choose to go that far. Some do, some don't. Frankly, we want to make sure that you're not depending on us to build your coaching practice. So we want to teach you how to fish.
Yep.
And you can get fish from us too, but we want to teach you how to do that, whether or not you go that far. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Sounds like a good plan.
Awesome. Mark, appreciate being here, brother. Thanks for jumping in, letting us talk through that. And wonderful, wonderful question. So, all right, guys, I'm going to pause right there. What did you guys notice about Justin's approach in helping Mark figure out the solution to that question? Go to the chat box. What did you guys notice in Justin's approach? Oh, wait, I'll do these, Justin, so you're not here sitting here talking about yourself.
Yeah, because that's weird.
What stood out to you? Yeah, Chris says root cause of impact. Don says open-minded questions. Blake says he didn't tell him what to do, just ask questions. Okay, so a lot of questions. Freddie said non-aggressive. Justin gets aggressive like every once in a while, mostly with us, but not with his clients, I don't think. Maybe.
Depends on the situation.
Brandon says he led him through the thought process. Kevin says responded with questions so that the customer gave it. So you guys picked up on it right away. It's not about, let me tell you what you're supposed to do, Mark. Justin is the guide giving Mark space to really help put his own plan together. And it's so much power in being able to talk through this and get it out of your own head. But when the client does that, they have ownership over their solution instead of just tell me what to do. Okay, I'll do it because my coach said. No, you're guiding them. That was a perfect example of how to lead somebody through. So, and he got into finding his why. And then you notice what happened. The first question was, how do I find clients? Once Mark started to see it, he said, what if I want to do this full time? He started to think bigger about what was possible instead of how do I find people? He said, what if I want to do this real big? But he couldn't get to that second question without getting through that first question. So that's the power of coaching. Now, think about this, having an hour to spend with somebody and doing that. We spent, what, 6 minutes with Mark, 8 minutes? Being able to spend an hour with somebody and really dive in, you get through a lot in that time. So good question. All right, we're at a little bit behind, so I want to do one more. Okay, so let's do this. I'm not going to bring somebody on for this one, but the question of how do people afford coaching? Raise your hand if you've been thinking that. How do people afford coaching? They're broke. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They can't afford to replace their tire that blew on the highway. How are they supposed to afford $200 a month to work with a coach? So a lot of you guys have raised your hand. So we're going to kind of do a group coaching thing here. My question for you, if you're wondering about that, what are some things, what are some non-essentials, non-needs that you see people spend money on? That kind of gives you a little bit of a head tilt. What are things that you see people spend money on that are not needs, they're not necessities? Okay, eating out, tobacco, morning coffee, Netflix, cigarettes and booze, subscriptions, expensive coffee, luxury items. Freddie says they're drip. To translate, as the kids would say, that's their clothing, right? There's some new kicks. All right, we're talking like the kids.
I've never heard that before.
The drip. One of our
Wow.
guys right here, he's like early 20s. He's just shaking his head like, Jeremy, don't ever say drip. You know,
Yep.
That's how the kids talk. Restaurants, getting their nails done, go to the casino, cell phones, car payments, snacks and desserts. I don't know. Snacks and desserts are pretty important. Susan says overbuying food that they end up throwing out. Okay. So here's the deal. You guys know the average cable bill, the monthly cable bill in America's average is $217 a month. Think about that. Cable television. And for people that don't have cable, just check their subscriptions. You know, YouTube TV is $75, and then you got Netflix without ads for like 13, and Hulu, same thing, for like 15, and then a gym membership that's $60 a month that they don't actually use. And then they're paying for a dating app, and they're paying for this, and they're paying for that. And it adds up to be the same as freaking cable anyways. Okay, so when somebody is struggling financially and you meet with them for the first time, oftentimes you're going to look at their spending, okay? And you're going to show them like, hey, these are all the things that you're spending money on that are not needs. So what most people do is they'll cut off their cable, or they'll suspend eating out for a short time, or they'll stop paying that gym membership that they're not using so that they can hire me as their coach. So we're not saying give up your paying your utilities to hire me. You're saying what we're challenging people is, let's get rid of some of these things that you don't need. Let's get rid of your drip, you know, to be able to hire me as your coach. So here's a question for you guys. If you're meeting with somebody and they're not willing to cancel their cable, or to stop going out to restaurants, or stop going to Starbucks, or doing any of those things, if they're not willing to stop paying for those things to be able to afford to hire you, is that person even ready for coaching in the first place? In other words, will it be effective for them? You guys are okay across the board. We're getting nope. And Charles says the commitment has to be there. You're exactly right. Because when you challenge them to cut that stuff up anyway, just to cut up their credit card, to stop spending money because they don't need it, they're going to give you a reason why they don't need to. And so if you just coach them for free, now you're enabling them in their bad behavior. And so part of finding the right people to coach is finding people that are ready for it, who are like, they're pissed and they want some change and they want your help. And stop going out to restaurants. That's a no-brainer, because that's stupid. Why would I do that? I want help. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm ready to change my life. Now, there are certain people, so we do that for most people, so that when there's a single mom who is just trying to put food on the table, doesn't have any margin, doesn't have cable, isn't going out to eat, she's just trying to figure out how to live. That way, when you meet with her, you have the margin to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to waive my fee so that we can work together. And we're going to do that for 3 months. And we'll figure out, at some point, we'll figure out how to work my fee in. But right now, let's just get you the help that you need. And so most of our coaches are going to give about 10% of their time to coaching pro bono, to doing ministry coaching. Sometimes they do a lot more than that. But you have margin over here because you're charging appropriately where you can, so that when you meet somebody who doesn't have the margin, you can, in your mind, have the freedom to just coach them without charging them for it. And so it's this balance of doing that. And so how does that sit with you guys in terms of how you choose to approach charging for your services? Just give me feedback in the chat if that feels right, if something like that feels off. I'd love to know how that feels for you. Because it's letting your values really dictate how you charge. So, all right, feels good to you guys. Perfect. All right, so let's do this. We're gonna go. I'm gonna tell you guys what we're doing here to kick off the summertime for you guys, and then we're gonna talk to Benjamin. Yeah, Benjamin is still here. I think the Benjamin's still here. All right. So, Financial Coach Master Training, regular price. Financial Coach Master Training is $2,300, $2,295. Okay. And so we're doing something today. Let's see. I'm going to put this in the chat here. Sorry. Try to multitask, which is a bad idea for me always. All right. So we're doing a promo that kicks off today, and it's available through the end of so Sunday night at midnight. Okay. And we're going to do this to kick off the summertime for you guys. Go to the chat box and you guys will see this here. To enroll in Financial Coach Master Training, you get a year of access to everything we just talked about. MSRP is $2,295. Our promotional price is $1,395. That's 39% off. You guys get $900 off. Okay. You'll use the promo code Coach Now at checkout. Coach Now at checkout. And in fact, I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. Now, we do have limited availability. Okay, we have 40 spots available at this promotional rate. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like to check out. Justin, can you see my screen?
You're good.
Okay, so you guys will get here. This is the Ramsey Solutions online store. You'll see Financial Coach Master Training. Okay, and so you'll click Add to Cart. Okay, and that'll add Financial Coach Master Training to your cart. And then from there, it's going to load up, and you're going to see this little have a promo code, and you're going to do Coach Now. Okay. Coach Now, one word, and hit apply. And that's going to take $900 off the training. And then from there, you'll proceed to checkout. Now, some of you guys are going to want to start your training right away. So what'll happen is when you sign up for the training, you'll get sent your receipt, and you'll also get sent an activation code. That activation code allows you to activate the training when you're ready. So some of you guys will want to start right away, and you'll activate your training today, and that's great. Some of you will say, hey, I've got vacation in 2 weeks, and I won't be back until July. I don't want to start my training until July. Or maybe you work a lot this summer, and you don't want to start until September, whatever that looks like. In other words, you can sign up now, take advantage of this promo now, and then activate your training when you are ready. And so you can start that training now, or hang on to that activation code and start later. So either way is good with us. Doesn't bother me one way or the other, but that's what that looks like. All right. So let's do this. Justin, do you have a little time here to do some more questions?
Let's go. Let's do
Okay.
it.
So that's everything we have in terms of presentation. We're going to stick around here and do some Q&A. And so if you guys can stick around, if you can't stick around, our team is going to reach out to you to make sure that you have an opportunity to ask questions one-on-one if we don't get to yours live. And so Brad and Dale are going to reach out to you guys, and they have time set aside on their calendar so that if you are ready, if you want to talk to somebody before you make a final decision, that you have somebody on the team that you can do that with, and they're here to be able to do that with you. John, I'm going to put that in the chat one more time for you. So there's the information for that again. All right, so let's do this. Let's talk to Benjamin first because Benjamin had a question. I think it was Benjamin Garrett. So Benjamin, are you there?
Yes.
Thanks for being here, brother. Where are you joining from today?
Nebraska.
Awesome. All right. So you had a kind of a variation of the question, how do I find people, right?
Yes.
All right. So what's the question?
I'm moving to California here in about 2 months, and
Okay.
I would like to find some clients out there. I already have a base of like people that want help here in Nebraska, but
Okay.
I'll be looking for an entirely new set and hope to keep up with people here. But
Cool. That's awesome. You're moving in the opposite direction of most people. So I'm curious, what's prompting you to move to California?
ministry and a girlfriend and a lot of other things. So
Wait.
Stack it up.
Which
Stack
order?
it up.
Which order of those?
I heard ministry first. That's all I'm saying. I heard ministry first.
yeah,
That's
I want
great.
to move to a larger population area. I wanted to reach out to young
I love
people because I've just seen a lack of fatherhood in our country, and so I want to kind of do what I can to help in that area too.
Yeah, I love it. So can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah.
Can I call you Ben? Is that
Yeah,
cool?
sure.
All right, Ben. So you're gonna move to where are you moving in California?
Sacramento.
Oh man, big time. Okay. And do you have a ministry out there that you're planning on getting plugged in with? Are you starting one, or what's that gonna look like?
My girlfriend's already in pro-life ministry, but I want to get just involved in young guys. I'm an extrovert, so I can hit up a conversation with anybody on the street and go from there.
Okay. So I'm going to pose the question back to you, but not around financial coaching. So how am I supposed to start ministry if I'm new in the area? How are you going to do that?
Attend chess clubs, go to Ultimate Frisbee, just different events.
Did you say chess club?
Yeah, I love chess.
These guys make fun of me. I have a chess coach. They make fun of me. So I'm on board with you. I love it.
And
Sorry,
chess.com,
chess
great
clubs.
place.
We should totally play. So chess clubs. You said what else did you say?
Ultimate Frisbee, soccer, sports in general.
So what I'm hearing is that you are going to build relationships first before you try and share the gospel with people.
Correct.
Okay. Why would your approach be any different for financial coaching?
I don't know that it would.
It shouldn't be. You're already planning on doing what you're asking me.
Yeah.
The cool thing about coaching is when you help people with their money, suddenly you have an in to share the gospel with them because they value what you have to say and they trust you. So you may find situations where coaching is one step ahead of the ministry. These are going to be super intertwined for you, I can tell. But because the idea in ministry is if you are talking to somebody and you're not able to meet their most basic needs, what are they going to care about this higher need that they have that they don't necessarily realize?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, dude, that's what Dave does here. Like he will never say this on the radio. He'll literally get in front of our company and say, you guys, just as a reminder, the world thinks we're here to help them with their money. That's what they think. The radio, that's what it's about. And he's literally said this. It's a Trojan horse. We're going to we're going to help you with this most basic need. So then we can
Yeah.
introduce you to Jesus. Like that's the heart of this place. And
Mhm.
so you're going to take the same approach that we do is how can I help identify some of these most basic needs first?
Yeah.
And then you have an opening. So they're going to work wonderfully together. How's that sound?
Yeah. I guess one of the obstacles I'm finding with young people is they're so attached and really addicted to their social media that
Mhm.
it's a blockade for them seeing a long-term perspective. And that's what I'm struggling here with the personal life help that I'm doing with guys already, that
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is true for all people, but especially for young people because they think they're untouchable, right?
Mhm.
Many of them haven't been smacked around by life in their poor choices. And so you just have an uphill battle in working with young people because, yeah, when I was in my early 20s and I'm getting these massive paychecks and doing things that I had no business doing with it, I'll be fine. I can out earn my stupidity. So the same problem that you have already, I'm on social media, party and the girls, and like that's what I care about when I'm 18.
Mhm.
It's the same thing with money.
Mhm.
And so, but again, it's building a relationship. It always goes back to the relationship. And that's where it starts. Justin, am I missing anything there?
You're good.
That might sound frustrating, Ben. It's just reality.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna promote a rosy picture to war against reality for you.
Yeah.
It's hard to coach young people.
Mhm.
Now, the ones that want it are going to be your favorite clients.
Yeah. Because you can build a future with them.
Yeah. And when they get it, they freaking get it. You know,
Yeah.
it's hard to break through because is 18 years old and the hormones going and social media's got them just ooh, over here, you know?
Yeah.
And looking for validation and looking to like you get all the things. But
yeah.
So part of the impact that you will be able to make is coaching people who have kids. And that will potentially be an in depending on what that relationship looks like and that sort of thing. But does that help?
Yeah. Thank you, Jeremy.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you being here.
Yep.
So a couple practical things that I think we missed in talking to Ben there. Most coaching is done virtually nowadays. So like this, just like we're doing here. So you are not limited to coaching people in your town, in your city. One of our coaches, Caroline, she hit me up. This is during the pandemic, like when everybody was shut down. She said, "Hey, Jeremy, you'll never guess where my latest client came from." I was like, okay. She's like, "They live in Dubai." Like, what? You're coaching somebody in Dubai? That's random, and awesome. So yeah, you guys are not limited to in-person coaching, although you're not limited to in-person. Most people do some combination, but the vast majority of coaching does happen online. In terms of the faith component of our training, you know, we are not shy about our faith here at Ramsey. It's part of our DNA. Like it's at the core of why we do what we do. You do not have to be a religious person to take our training. But we are going to use some of these biblical principles that inform how we coach people. And so if Dave was sharing a Bible verse in a lesson, if you read that as like us shoving the Bible down your throat, then you're probably not going to like our training. Okay. Our goal is never to shove anything down your throat, but we're not going to hide it either. And so we have plenty of people that come from different faith perspectives in our training that are wonderful coaches and that we love to work with, but just to be transparent, that's what it is. So most people don't have a problem with that. Every once in a while, it's like, nope, I can't do that. Let's we respect that. That's okay, but I want to be upfront. So, all right, Justin. any more questions? I've seen several of you guys jump in. Charles and Jake and Bradley, great to have you guys.
Hey, Jeremy, I think you might have frozen on my screen. So, hey, there you are. You're back.
There we go. What
Cool.
I miss? I missed something good.
You were talking about questions, people that you'd seen in the chat box.
Oh yeah, let's answer some more questions.
I saw a question in the Q&A box that might be good for us to talk about live here for just a second.
Sure.
This question came from Lionel, who asked, can you talk more about what is learned by purchasing the course? So just a little bit of a deeper dive into what we talk about and what we train people on.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot, because there's, what was that, like 72 videos or something like that we go through. So big picture, Lionel, the skill set of a coach, number one, how to ask really good questions, how to diagnose the problem, how to not jump right to a solution. You're struggling. Oh, you got a budget. Like, we want to pull back on that and really, so the framework is understand the situation. And that doesn't just mean understand the facts on the paper, but understand the people, understand the family dynamic and the relationships that are involved, the background of the people, understanding some of it is upbringing and what their families' conversations were like about money. So it's understand the situation. Once you have that and you're able to diagnose what the problem is, you're able to call that thing out and like shine a light on it and go, hey, you turn on a flashlight and go, hey, here's your problem right there. Imagine like you take your doctor or you take your car to the mechanic and they pop the hood and they say, hey, you see that right there? See that? That's your problem. That's what you do as a coach. It's not an engine that you're working on, but you shine a light, go, hey, see that? That thing is holding you back right there. Understand the situation, provide information, and then inject hope. Because the whole point when somebody works with a coach, that they see that the future can be better than their past or their present. And so that framework is taught in the training, how to actually do a coaching session, how to do your first one versus subsequent coaching sessions, how to talk about what you do to people, how to invite them into a conversation, how to do your pricing, how to collect payment, how to set up your calendar, how to get that out to people, how to build partnerships in the community with other subject matter experts or service professionals so that you have these resources. All of those things and many more are taught in the training, but that's some big picture stuff right there. So Scott says, if I just want to volunteer my services as a coach, is my price still $13.95 with the promo? I will teaching the high school version of Financial Peace to students. I would like to speak to someone about combining my teaching and coaching opportunities. I love that, Scott. I love it. Yeah, we don't have a separate price point for people that are doing volunteer or ministry work because we don't have a way to just deliver part of the content. It's like it's one big thing. And so, yeah, the price is the same. Something that many of our coaches have done with that don't plan to charge is just doing a handful of those where you're charging to recoup your initial investment. And then from there, you just coach pro bono. So that's what a lot of coaches do when they are doing ministry, just charging the first few to pay for the investment if that matters to you that way. So good stuff. Let's see. Let's go to so Jake asked a question, and I saw you jumped in already, Jake. Is there any other requirements to call myself a financial coach to be considered qualified? So Justin, can you, because I saw questions about being like state certified and certifications. And when we talk about like state certification, we're talking about financial advisors. As a former financial advisor, can you explain the difference between a financial coach and a financial advisor?
Yeah, and we got this question several times in the Q&A box, so I'm glad we're addressing it here.
Yep.
One of the first questions I go to in talking between the difference of a financial advisor and a coach is, what do you want to help people with? Because that's the core of it, right? A financial advisor helps clients with different things than a financial coach does. as a financial advisor, I was 5 years as an advisor, had my Series 7, 66, life license, all that fun stuff, considered the CFP, but didn't do it, and became a coach instead because what I wanted to do and how I wanted to help clients changed and shifted. I got into the advisor business to help people with their investments, with financial planning. Okay. As I did more and more of that work, I realized that fewer people actually needed help with picking better investments than what they actually needed help with was doing and sticking to a budget, talking and be on the same page with their spouse, how to have boundaries around money with their family, with their friends, especially parents with adult children, right? And how to have boundaries around their money, how to actually set goals, get on a plan to achieve those goals, and how to set a priority queue for my money goals and which one should I do first and how much gas should I put on each one of those fires, right? That's what people really needed help with. And so I found that a coach is infinitely better equipped to help people work through behaviors, beliefs, mindsets, and habits around their money than a financial advisor is. Because as an advisor, I can't get paid to do that. If you don't have investable assets, I can't get paid as an advisor.
Well,
There's a lot of
that's the other thing.
regulation that comes with that.
Yeah, because you're selling financial products, you're selling investments and insurance. And the other thing that I hear is like, I thought as a financial advisor, I was going to help people, but I ended up just helping people that already had a bunch of money make more money.
That's right.
And so instead of like helping people to get to that point. So that's a good clarification, but good stuff. So, all right. Cindy says, how much longer is this call? I think we're going to wrap because we're 23 minutes over. And I think I probably have a meeting that I might too, but
we're just having fun answering questions.
We're just having fun. We're having fun. All right. So here's what's going to happen. Let's see. All right, I'm going to put this in the chat one more time. We've had several of you guys jump in already. Denise just jumped in as well. So there's the updated info. This promo that we're running with Coach Now goes from now until the end of the week, Sunday at midnight, 11:59 p.m. Central, or when we run out of enrollments, whichever comes first. We just see a spike right after we finish the call for those of you guys that are here. So here's what we're going to do. After we get off this call, I'm going to let Brad and Dale, they sit right over there. Brad's doing this over there. I'm going to let them know that you guys are here, and Brad and Dale are going to reach out to you guys to make sure that you have an opportunity to ask questions. We can't get to everybody's. So Charles says, already purchased my Coach Now. Boom. Charles, we're super excited to have you in here. Charles from Wichita, Kansas, and we started the call with the Kansas song, so that's good. Excited to have you in the training, Charles. So Brad and Dale are going to reach out to you guys to make sure you have an opportunity to get your questions answered. You might have like this factor or talking through this, and so they're going to make themselves available for you guys to do that. Okay, you'll also get some emails from me throughout the week as we roll out. We're going to give you guys some more content and testimonials and that sort of thing. But listen, there's a lot of people out there that need help, and so if you have a passion to help people to overcome their obstacles in this area, to bring about transformation in their lives that does not end with their bank statement, doesn't end with their wallet. It starts there and it ripples out to their family, to their kids, to their marriage, to their work, their mental health, their spiritual health. It extends all the way because there's no area of our life that money doesn't affect. It'll improve their sleep in most cases. And so if you have a passion to step into those conversations and to be a part of the solution in the most prosperous country in the history of mankind where we can't pay our freaking bills, I'm fired up about it. If you care about doing something about that, we want to help you do that. And that's what Financial Coach Master Training is for. That's why Justin is here, to be a resource for you. So we would be honored to have you join the training so that we can walk with you, support you as you make an impact in your neck of the woods. So God bless you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to leave the chat open for just another minute so that you can grab that stuff, the promo code and whatnot, the link out of the chat. But thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing you in the training. Thanks, everybody.